want to do that, then there's just more
Right.
recycled plastic to sell. Like
That no, yeah.
they'd be devaluing their product.
Yeah, I think that's true because I mean this is the Association of Plastic Recyclers, so they're trying to blame anything else. But I think that is true that there's not a demand for it, so they're not going to run at capacity anyway.
Right. Even if they did, it would just, what would they do with it? They spent
Right,
all this money like processing it, and then they're gonna sit on it. Why
right.
would they want to do that?
Yeah, they're not going to do that. And also, like they said, we only recycled 5 to 6%, and they're if plastic recyclers at like 60%, then they could only realistically like recycle maybe 10 to 15% of the US's need,
Right,
right? Like
right,
like that still doesn't help anything if they were at 100%.
right.
Like I don't know. Um and also like collecting and sorting them. Like that's so difficult to sort every single piece. And to collect them, we'd have to have more trucks for sure to collect and like haul them somewhere.
Yeah,
Like,
all
it's just
these
not gonna work.
trucks. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Also, the report talked about Keep America Beautiful. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're a nonprofit organization, but they're like funded by like Dow and McDonald's.
Okay, okay.
But they do like regular cleanups to pick up all the trash and like rivers and like sides of the road. And like they can't keep up with the waste either. Like they have to regularly clean up a certain area in like Tennessee, like the Chattanooga River, just to keep it clean enough. So it's like that's obviously just being able to collect it's not gonna fix anything. We need to stop
Uh,
producing as much. I don't know.
right.
Um, the second reason they said mixed plastic waste cannot be recycled together, which obviously, but maybe not everyone knows that. But like so many products have different plastics in the one product.
Right. And I know that's a huge thing with like the poly bags that are so big right now, all the stand up pouches and everything, is
Oh,
it's
yeah.
usually multiple plastics layered together.
Yeah.
And they're just not like, what do you do with that? You can't. Or even like a milk jug, the lid isn't the same
Yeah.
plastic as like the rings on it. Like there are so
Right.
many things like that where what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Disassemble it? We can barely get people to recycle.
Right, yeah. How are you gonna have everyone disassemble it themselves? Or like you can't do that in a manufacturing setting very well either.
And people have been making those. Have you heard of like the plastic bricking where they'll take like a water bottle and shove everything inside of it?
Yeah.
I guess if it's going to a landfill, that's less, but like you can't recycle that now.
I thought they were making things out of it.
Oh, I've seen it as just like trying not to have so much like fluff
Oh.
when you throw it away, I guess.
Yeah,
Some
you're not
people
gonna be able to
just,
do that.
yeah.
Yeah, or like some people put like the paperboard or something, like crush that up and put it in a bottle or something. It's like you
Yeah.
can't sort any of that stuff if you put it all inside of something else.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, in case people don't know, plastics have their own composition and characteristics, and they have different melting points and different dyes and colorants that are added, and none of that can be intermixed when they recycle. So like even it said even like PET bottles are made by blow molding, and like those can't be recycled with other PET items like cups, trays, and clamshells because those are thermoformed, so they're formed differently. So even like the same plastic,
Right, they have different,
yeah,
slightly different structures and additives, and all the
yeah,
additives. Every single piece of plastic has different additives.
right. And how do you know? And like the green PET bottles can't be recycled with like clear PET bottles. So even that's just the color difference. Like I don't know. That just none of this. And I did say the caps. None of it can. It just is an endless list of how they cannot be intermixed. And how are you gonna sort all that? You're not. The third reason it said plastic recycling is wasteful, polluting, and a fire hazard, which I guess makes sense, but I didn't know a lot of this. That like recycling plastic waste itself makes plastic waste that then they have to get rid of. Like when talking of their new PET bottle recycling facility in Mexico, Coca-Cola stated that 30% of the bottles received will be wasted in the process. Like that's
Yeah,
huge.
30%. Also, I think it's important. So, when you make brand new plastic, it's made up of like chemical chains that are the polymers, and every time you recycle it, those polymers break down a little bit more, and they can only be recycled like 3 or 4 times before it just doesn't do anything anymore.
Yeah,
So once you start mixing old and new recycled plastic,
right.
like it causes problems. It's such a mess.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you'd almost have to do a fully recycled, right, product.
If you knew everything was only recycled like once,
Right.
but what if it's just a
Yeah,
huge mess? And it burns off, I think, as it like
yeah, it does.
the parts that are like too degraded to continue to use just burn.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking like, 'cause I have a cardigan that's made out of plastic, like recycled. Like I feel like that's the way to go, like make thread out of it or something.
Make something that's not going to be single use again, or like how they make the
Yeah.
benches out of the plastic bags.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Like something that's more permanent.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't make single use again, or like almost can't make containers at all again.
right.
But yeah, the 30% thing is similar to a 2018 report that the National Association for PET Container Resources made. There's so many national things. They said due to contamination and the process, they lose about a third of the collected bottle material being disposed of. So again, like 30% is lost
That's so
to the
much.
process. Yeah, that is a lot. Like, I mean, this is why that no one's recycling, I think. Also, they said there's a problem of the microplastics, which are generated in mechanical recycling processes, and then they're removed by washing operations. So they can be discharged to the environment via like untreated water, wastewater, or wastewater treatment plant sludge streams. So, like, we're just pumping a bunch of microplastics
Plastics.
into our
Yeah, it's almost like
wastewater.
leave them whole. Like,
Yeah.
what's worse? And we don't know. That's part of the problem. We
Yeah.
literally don't know what the lesser of two evils is in most of these.
Right. Yeah, and apparently recycling plastics has also been shown to be toxic to the workers there, since most plastic products contain toxic chemicals added to give plastic desirable traits like flexibility or non-stick properties. So, like when they're broken down during recycling, the toxins can escape recycling facilities and landfills to contaminate people in the environment. And like some of these toxins are like the endocrine disruptors or cancer-causing chemicals. So, like, definitely if you're working there, if it's in the
Yeah, or
air, I don't,
living near there.
yeah, right. Seems bad all around. And plastics are highly flammable, so if it ever catches on fire, then that can just release all the toxins into the air, causing um problems with the neighboring communities. But like everything, like any warehouse that got caught on fire would not be good for the neighboring communities.
Right, my warehouse, the warehouse I work in, if it caught on fire, would definitely be a problem.
Yeah, like I feel like it'd be a problem for any warehouse. It's not just the plastic warehouse, but or
Yeah.
like even a paper plant if it catches on fire because of all those chemicals
Right.
and stuff. Like, but that's still not good. I don't know. And like all those warehouses that have been caught on fire recently, like
Right.
Think about how many products were in there and all the. Because one of them was Walmart, right? Or
I
Amazon.
think
I can't
I
remember.
think Walmart.
But yeah. The fourth reason was recycled plastic often has huge toxicity risks. So, like, plastics aren't inert like glass or metal, so they can contain toxic additives or absorb the chemicals. So, like, they're often in curbside bins that could be filled with problem materials, like containers that were used for motor oil or pesticides. So, like, that could get into any of the plastic that's in your curbside bin and make recycling impossible for that whole batch.
Yeah.
And like this is why they don't recycle, I feel like. Like that's why they're at 60%. Because you can only use it for so many things because you have no idea the chemicals.
Right. It's really risky to
Yeah.
put back into the public, honestly. Like,
Right.
you wouldn't go around drinking motor oil, so you probably shouldn't eat out of anything. Eat, drink, like there's so many.
Yeah. Makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because of this reason, like pretty much all recycled, they don't want to make it into food grade packaging at all, which is a big part of the plastics industry. So it's like, well, what do
Right.
you make it for then? Like, yeah, what can you use it for? Nothing really. And like obviously pharmaceuticals, that's huge too.
Right. You can't use recycled plastics for any pharmaceutical or medical application either. Which
Right.
is right, and I feel like most single-use plastics that people interact with are one of those: food,
Yeah.
medical, cosmetic.
Yeah, and also like you can't fill it up with like other chemicals either. It's like even household because you don't know how that would react either. Like for household cleaning supplies and stuff.
Right. And what the heck else do you use plastic for? Like, what?
Right. That's why I think yeah, the avenue should be like making can't you make roads with it maybe or something? Or like maybe not roads because then it rains.
Or something like that.
Clothing. I
Yeah, you
think people
probably
are
shouldn't
starting to make
wear
clothing.
toxic clothing
You can
on your
wash it.
body.
You can wash it, right?
Well, I mean, like if it was a motor oil container.
You can't you can't wash it before you sell it, that it gets rid of all of that.
Not if
Or
it
it's inside
absorbed
of it.
into
Oh,
the.
yeah. Yeah, if it's inside of it, that's true. I don't know the process of making the clothing, so maybe that like breaks it down enough to get anything out of it. I don't
I don't either.
know. I don't know. But the last reason, which we've kind of already talked about, but plastic recycling isn't economical. And so no one's gonna do it anyway. Like it's expensive to collect, sort, truck, and safely process plastic waste. And also the jump in diesel prices in 2022 made it even worse, which I didn't really think about. Like that made
Yeah.
everything worse. But like in May 2022, a Midwest recycler stated trucking plastic waste to Canada was 2 to 3 times more expensive than it was 6 months ago. So like that kind of killed it too.
Yeah.
And yeah, new plastic competes with recycled plastic, and it's cheaper to produce new plastic and obviously better quality. So, like, they're never gonna use recycled plastic.
Right. It just makes so much more sense for them to use new plastic, which is really unfortunate that capitalism couldn't, like,
Yeah,
work
take
in
it.
our favor, but it never
Right.
really seems to.
Yeah, it does not seem to. Yeah, in 2022, at the fifth session of the UN Environmental Assembly, Unilever said they wouldn't increase their use of recycled plastics if the price was much higher than that of new plastic. So, like, one of the biggest
Yeah, I was gonna say
companies.
Unilever is a big plastic using company.
Yeah, and they're not gonna do it. So it's just like, why are we like we kind of can't keep making plastics at this rate without
And
figuring out what to do.
if they did use it, like, okay, what they would do is it would be more expensive, and then they would just pass that cost off to the customer instead of absorbing it from their margins. So
Right.
either way,